All right, thanks, Ross. Great break for us. It really was a good break. I think everybody needs a break every now and then. I'm sure y'all missed us this weekend, but it was a lot of fun. Just kind of taking Saturday and Sunday and enjoying some family time and doing some stuff, but also really watching football. I mean, it's I would doubt many accountants take a weekend off and then sit around and watch accounting or take accounting, work on some more accounting. Most time you take a break from what you do, but or a dentist, you get a weekend off, they probably don't, sit around and work on somebody's teeth or something. But it's crazy. Football coaches, it's a weird job. Get a weekend off, and what do? You watch football, and so it was fun. It was fun to just kind of be a fan and watch some other games and see other teams, especially some of the teams you maybe don't get to see quite as much. Stayed up too late watching a couple of the games, but a fun weekend and just excited to get back at it. Again, it's when you take a break from something that you love too. It's good, but it also I just think re-energizes you a little bit and helps you have an appreciation for what you get to do. That sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you just get so tied up into the doing of it. Sometimes you don't think about that as much. So excited to get back. Guys are excited to get back at it this week. Really good energy at practice last night. Florida State is a very they're the most talented team we've played, and all you got to do is check the recruiting rankings if those things mean anything. I think they've out-recruited us. Probably 5 out of the last 7 years or more. If you went back further than that, we might have beaten them twice in 10 years. So we don't beat those guys in recruiting a whole lot. And so they got a bunch of good players. Easily the most talented team we've played to this point. So going into Game 6, on paper, roster, they're the most talented group. And so we got a big challenge there, and they're getting better. They're getting better. Should probably be 5-0. I'm sure that they're really disappointed and kicking themselves for what happened against Boise, a game that they, they were, like 30-something to 13 or so with about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and really just kind of blew it. And, that's a frustrating thing as a coach. And the same thing against Virginia, had a chance to really win that game on the road at Virginia. And so they're truly 2 or 3 plays from being 5-0. So they're really talented, but the biggest thing is they're getting better. They've started to create an identity, and they're playing better together. Really fast, physical. I think they're running the ball a lot better as far as what they're trying to do in the run game. Different from last year. Cam Akers he's everything goes through him. He is a workhorse. He's physical. He's a very committed runner. We're probably a little soft in the last couple games as far as the run. We've played a couple of good backs, and so we got to match that physicality and that mindset, because this back he's a committed dude, and you better have your big boy pads on, and he may get some zeros, he may get some ones, he may get some twos. But he just keeps coming, and they keep giving him the ball. So, but that sets everything else up to what they do, because they're very RPO oriented. A lot of quick game, a lot of shots, big splits, tempo, double moves, and they got guys outside that can go get it. They're getting better up front. It was an area that they obviously struggled in last year, and I think that they're much improved. And obviously they've had to play 2 different quarterbacks. Both of those guys can win for them. Both of them are experienced and poised players. Both are going to run the offense. I don't think you see a whole lot different. One has been around longer, probably a little bit more efficient as far as maybe scrambling. They'll run a little option, but they don't run him a lot. He's been a little more efficient in his scrambling. He has produced 9 touchdowns, and Hornibrook's produced, I think, 5 or so. So they're both efficient, throwing the ball and making some plays. But it all starts with stopping the run against those guys, and then trying to win your matchups. because you've got to be able to win some matchups against these guys. This is skill on skill outside, so it's handling the tempo, it's lining up properly, it's the right depths, it's the right leverage, eyes on the right things, and doing it over and over and over and over. Because if you don't, here comes a big play. So very, very capable group offensively and defensively. It's the biggest group we've seen. They are huge across the front, and they've been in and out of, kind of some even and oaky fronts. So they've changed it up a little bit over the 5 games as far as what they've done defensively. 11 is a really special player. I think he's very, very talented. Has the ability to pressure the quarterback. 21 is a very good player. 91. I mean, they're all 300, and I don't know what it says on here, but they're probably over whatever it says. I mean, so they're just big guys that's hard to move, and but they've done a nice job. They're creating a lot of turnovers. They're +5 in the margin. Probably the biggest thing that's hurt them, and probably from being 5-0 is they've had a lot of penalties. So they've had a bunch of penalties and a bunch of sacks that have hurt them. But they've also overcame a lot of that because they're +5 in the turnover margin. And they've had some short fields in some of these games to work with. So that's a big factor in this game because we're -1. It's an area we've got to improve in, taking care of the football. And then we did not create a turnover at North Carolina. It's the first time in a long time we hadn't got a turnover. And so we've been very advantageous that way. So we got to get back to getting our hands on the ball, creating some turnovers, and then taking care of it offensively. That'll be a huge stat in this game. We win the turnover margin, we win the game. Simple as that, and vice versa, because they're as talented as, again, anybody that we played or will play from that standpoint. So it's a good group. It's going to be a huge challenge for us. We're excited about it. It's going to be Clemson, Florida State. It's a special game. It has been for a long time. This is my 17th Clemson, Florida State game, so I've been a part of a bunch of them. And, it never gets old. This is one of those games that, at least for the last 10 years, it's settled the division. The team that's won this game has won the division and represented the Atlantic. We got a long way to go. I think we got 39 more days before the division is going to be settled, and every day is important. And so this will be a huge game for both teams. Both teams want the same thing. The winner of this game is in control of their division destiny, and that's what we all want to do. At the end of the year, there's only 2 teams that get to go to Charlotte, and so this is a really playoff football. That's what college football is. Every week, it's playoff football. It's division playoff football this week for us. So, and same thing for them. But it's exciting, to be where we want to be and have all of our goals still there, and being at home this week is huge. The Valley's going to be rocking. We need our fans to show up and continue to give us that incredible environment that we've had. I think it can be a big factor in this game. And so last thing I just would mention, I know that they've talked about Paul Journey, but just a few things. This is what we call Paul Journey Week here, and it's where we do highlight that part of our program, just annual recognition to the way we develop, connect, and empower our student athletes. And just collectively, Paul Journey provides over 85 initiatives per year. We have 25 Paul Journey ambassadors. There's a process. These are guys from our team that become ambassadors. There's a process they have to go through, and they have to be voted on by the other ambassadors. They have to have letters of recommendation and so forth. So it's a really cool thing that we have, and those guys create opportunities for the entire team. And the objectives are career development, community service, life skills, and then our former player engagement. From a career development standpoint, we've had 100% career placement for our 36 senior scholar athletes from last year's team, 2018-19 class. We had 37 guys this past summer participate in micro internships in 2 countries and 8 states. So just a really awesome opportunity, and it's about a 10 or 12 day so window. And what that does is allows them to get as much professional development as they can get, but also, work with their schedules. It allows them to get that real world experience. We had 14 student athletes that went up to New York in our business week for spring break, and they were with American Express, Def Jam, the NFL, Madison Square Garden, Endeavor, and several other companies up there. And then our community service, we had a group go over to Thailand this past May. We serving over 900 hours at the Mercy Center School for underprivileged children. So that was in Bangkok, Thailand. And this year, we've already served over 1,300 hours as a team. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful program within our program. And life skills, those are public speaking, it's financial literacy, it's social media, it's branding, it's networking, it's all those things. And then our former player engagement. Travis Blanks came in. Felt like that was an area that I think that we could do a better job in. And, man, he has really hit the ground running. And just want our players to be connected. Been here long enough now. I got a lot of former players, and I just want those guys to always feel like they're connected to our program. And so whether it's a newsletter, they have somebody to reach out to talk to, hey, I'm coming back into town, whatever it may be. And Travis has done an awesome job, coming on board. So we just want to take the time to thank Paul Journey, Jeff Davis, and Savannah, and Rashard, and Travis, and Reggie. They do an amazing job in serving our players, and really just wake up every day thinking about how we can empower our players, create those tools for life that we talk about all the time in our program, and create opportunities for them and take advantage of this moment in life that they have. It's a very short moment. So when they leave here, if they get a chance to go play football, that's great, but we really want them to make the transition now, not after football ends. We want them to already have made that transition away from football before football ever ends for them. And so they're prepared and ready to go. So that's a little bit about Paul Journey. And, again, we'll be featuring that a lot this week through our different social media outlets and so forth. And just can't say enough about the people who are involved in everything that goes on in that group. With that, I'll take your questions.
Kendall Briles, when you look at the way that he runs an offense, this is really your first time, I guess, going against him. He even had a tight end line up the wrong way for an 11-yard gain earlier this year. What do you see out of the way that he calls plays and kind of what they do?
Yeah, well, first of all, committed to the run. Again, whether it's 0, 0, 0, 2, 3, committed to the run. 40, he don't give up on that. So I think that's the number one thing. Tempo. They play really fast, and I'm sure they'll really try to play a lot of tempo on us to try to neutralize our substitutions and maybe get us to miss a line and some things like that. But so we got to do a good job of that. Splits, you got some of these guys they'll line up, on the sideline. Really, really wide splits. So just got to do a good job with your leverage. And then, I think he simplified them a little bit. They're a little more downhill running game. Last year, everything was kind of this way, but they're running more lead zone, split flow zone, influence, counter. Still got all the jet sweeps, but they're a little different style as far as their run game. And then, all the RPOs and lots of RPOs, lots of, that's one of the reasons to get all these wide splits. And a lot of slants, a lot of double moves, and then just drop back and, let it rip, downfield because they got some really good skill. Try to create one-on-ones, but it all starts with that run game. He's committed to it. And, last year they did not run the ball very well. But they're a work in progress in that area. But he's got a good guy to be committed to it with in that number 3, good football player.
You say y'all have been a little soft against the run the last couple of games. Can you zero in on what y'all have?
Well, we just missed some tackles, and then we didn't fit a few things up properly, and we played a couple teams that were very committed to running the ball, and Charlotte was really good. I told y'all going in, I was like, these guys can flat out run the football, and just their style of play, and then so it doesn't take, but what did we have after the turnover? They busted a 31-yard run on us. They just ran the power, and we didn't fit it up right. And then later on, on third and 2 on that last drive, maybe we missed 2 tackles, and that was a long run, down the 2. So you don't take but a couple runs, and next thing you know, and especially when they're just sticking with it. And so we gave up 4.1, and we gave up 3.9 to Charlotte. So it's not like, they're averaging 8 yards, but that's not our standard. And so just being disciplined, lining up right, having your eyes on the right things, squeezing properly. We just details is really it, and some missed tackles. So it's not like people are just mashing us and knocking us off the ball and things like that, but just being detailed. Because when you don't do things right, those good backs have a way of finding those creases, and so that's probably the biggest thing. And especially Charlotte. Charlotte kind of late in the game got a couple that hurt us. And again, even though you got different guys in there, we don't change the standard. It all counts. And then same thing up there at North Carolina. They just popped a couple. We had not given up any really big runs, and they popped a couple runs on us. And so we got to do a better job with that and we're being where we're supposed to be. And then you got to be physical because, again, this is a very committed team to running it and a very committed back who's you better have your big boy pads on because he's going to keep coming. So got a lot of respect for how he plays. He's taken a lot of hits. He's had a lot of carries. He got a bunch of carries, and he's a physical guy. So you better match that mindset, or he'll bloody your nose.
Isaiah said yesterday